Want to call the order 7 p.m. Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Supervisor Bogey here. Clerk Stephanie is absent. Excused. Treasurer Joel here. Trustee Shelby here. Trustee Nick
Here.
The approval of the agenda, which we got to add. We need to add Project Greenstone to new business number 2.
Oh, and I forgot something. We have another set of minutes to approve. There's 4.
Yeah, I see that.
Okay,
We only got how many on here?
3.
Oh. All right, so we'll add another.
No, I don't need it, but
Which one?
I have them all in there.
Oh, I know what it is.
I didn't put it on.
So 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
That Greenstone project,
4 minutes.
CO2
Oh,
drill.
yeah. Need to add another set of minutes onto the meeting and add Project Greenstone new business number 2.
She
For
was-
that?
Yeah, for this one.
No guts. Yeah,
It says minutes at the top. Did you actually write the meeting agenda on there too?
So it's not
Oh.
minutes.
Well, if, no, she wrote at the top meeting agenda.
Minutes.
I know our optic. Anything else you guys want to add to the agenda?
No, I'm good. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as proposed.
Favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public comment on agenda items only, 2 minutes long.
There's one, we got one.
Can I ask?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not sure if you want us to speak now or later.
Oh, we're gonna have you speak later, because you're at least on the agenda and also doesn't matter.
Okay, thank you.
Approval of the previous minutes, with the last board meeting.
13.
Yeah, I think so. The only thing I said, it's already corrected on here, says there was a typo on NB number 5, new business, should read J Heath, not Joe Heath.
Oh, right.
I don't know what else was on there, anything else you guys think of? It's all clear.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from March 13th.
I'll second it. Any questions on it? Nick, are you good?
No, I looked at it, I'm good.
Okay.
So,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
oh,
Now we got a motion. Now we got the budget meeting. I just took out a vote on it because these are all draft minutes, if I'm not mistaken.
As long as there's no corrections to the minutes, you can approve them all in one motion, just naming each date. Yep.
Okay.
I know that was correct.
But as long as there's no corrections. Because then that would get confusing.
Right.
we did our budget meeting. That was a special meeting. Correct?
When?
March 31st,
Yes,
because we got to hear budget workshop meeting, it should be actually the budget final meeting, right? That was a special meeting.
did you have your public hearing that night,
Yes.
Yeah.
the 31st?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, then yes, at the top, it should state that it was a budget special meeting. Public hearing for proposed 25-26 budget,
So here's what.
or at least something to that effect, you know, it doesn't have to be verbatim that.
Yeah.
You just need to name it, you know, a special meeting.
Make a
and-
motion to proceed.
Yeah, we motion first to, yeah, let's do that. I motion to the March 19th budget workshop meeting draft and the March 26th
Wait, second.
budget workshop.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, we make a motion to do a correction for the budget workshop meeting, should say read special meeting, public hearing for our final budget on March 31st, 2024. 2025.
Yes.
2025.
I'll second that.
Motion.
Did you
You
just say
did.
this, Stephanie? You be all right, Tom?
I got accomplished, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now to Stephanie's little deal, you wanna do that?
What?
Check right through everything.
Payroll was $9,921.33. Including the regular vendors, taxes and fire, the vendors was $107,364.14.
Any questions on it?
No.
I'm gonna bring it on here that we had a little issue with the fire department, and it's due to a clerical deal. That's why it's so high this month, because we had to pay 3/4 quarters, is that correct? 3/4 quarters, yeah. So that's why it's on there 3 different times. It should show at the very top. So that's what that correction's all about. Okay, now something else is clear one. BSA software was 10,800. That's it. Roll call. Supervisor Bobby?
Got a motion?
Oh, yeah.
Hold on a second.
Yep.
He said 3/4 quarters, there's 2 on here.
There's 3.
There's,
Where's the third one?
Right at
So-
the top.
there's
32,
326.
30, and is 12 one of them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was a cap, but
No.
why is one only 12?
I could have done a fire roll on it, but,
I'm just wondering if we're gonna get another quarter.
we're actually, she's got that under handle for next month,
Okay.
and then we'll be clear.
Mhm.
And if you see the bank property tax, and them just people that overpaid,
Yes.
believe it or not.
Okay.
Yes.
I make a motion to accept the disbursements. 2025 at $117,285.47.
I'll second.
Roll call. Supervisor Bogey, yes. Clerk Stephanie absent. Excused. Treasurer Joel,
Yes.
trustee Shelby,
Yes.
trustee Nick.
Yeah,
Fund balances, Mr. Joel.
All right, the general fund has $227,798. That's 64,445. The fire fund had 130,985. Your road fund has 49,881. Our ICS, which is the general fund account, has another $420.78 for a total of $993,189. Your CDs, just renewed the 0047 there for another year at 4%, and your CDs come up to 422,621. And our Old National Farm account at 72,826.63 for a grand total of $1,488,637.63. And on that note, that is all our money. The tax account been cleaned out, so.
Okay.
That's what we have.
Well, that's long, because the fire fund, that 230,000 is in there, really, we move money into that. to
Yeah,
pay the-
and you gotta remember, this was from the 31st.
Correct.
So, and you know, I'm sure she's not the first time since that. As of that day,
Right.
that's what we have.
It'll be about $1 million too, probably. All right. Any questions? No. Okay. I make a motion to accept. We had a Cobra release in there too for 33 grand, right? Yes.
That is in the general fund.
Okay. I make a motion to accept the fund balances totaling $1,488,637.63.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Building report.
There's 4 building permits issued, no electrical, no mechanical, 1 plumbing, and they did 4 inspections and probably worked 9 office hours.
Make a motion to accept the building report.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Assessors report. Karen?
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you.
Again.
Okay, so you can hear me?
There you go.
Okay. For field work, I will be sending out notices and begin visiting properties that sold April 1st, 24 through March 31st of 25. In other work, we wrapped up the March Board of Review reports and turned the final values over to County Equalization and filed the final L4022 state equalized values with the state via the Michigan Equalizing Gateway online utility. I mailed the March Board of Review decisions to the petitioners and filed the minutes with the clerk. The Mineral County Board of Commissioners approved and completed 2025 county equalization on Tuesday, April 1st. Next will be state equalization on or before May 1st. I signed the tax warrants and balance with the treasurer for the final 2024 settlement. I reviewed 1 land division application and conducted 4 hours of continuing education in an online course called State Tax Commission Updates. Looking ahead, I'll roll over the database to 2026 after state equalization on May 1st. I'll analyze improved and vacant land sales in the residential class. Export the 25 roll to the treasurer for summer tax bills approximately June 1st. And prepare the 4029 tax rate request for the upcoming 25 tax bills. And that's it. If you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept the assessment report.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ordinance report.
Noise complaint,
And you know what? We got
Doobie's here,
yeah.
wanna give it, there, Doobie?
I suppose.
You can
Did have a noise complaint about vehicles driving up and down the road over in Milwaukee. Loud noise within the guideline times. However, I would like to explain, we have general law ordinances and we have general zoning ordinances. Law ordinances are for law enforcement. They have nothing to do with me. I have no authority to impose any type of sanctions for somebody on a public roadway. So anytime something happens on a public roadway with noise, whatever the case may, needs to go to the sheriff's, it needs to go to central dispatch and let the chips fall where they may. I had a resident on Ridge Road requesting to build a second pole barn on the property. The building permit was denied because we are in litigation with the individual. We had another complaint of junk cars on Milwaukee. First letter was sent again, and there's progressive discipline we have to take care of, so we'll get him tied up. There was another building permit for Ridge Road for an RV shelter, and that was also denied due to pending litigation. That all comes from our attorney's office, so. That's all I got for that.
Make a motion to accept the orders report.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Final fire department report.
Well, he's here.
Yeah, we don't have to do it.
So some of you know me, some of you don't, these are Carpus, I'll be taking over as a fire chief starting May 1st. So we ran 6 runs in Milan Township this month. One of them was canceled, didn't tent, somebody reported a semi on fire on the highway that we weren't able to find. One of them was the tornado that went across Wabash Road, with wires down and damaged the house. That was rolled in the F0, it had 80-mile-an-hour winds and the appropriate damage path. I guess that's about all I have. If you guys have any questions for me or anything?
Alright. Looks like we got 11 fire runs this month, down from last month of 25. We averaged 15, 16,
Yeah, it was
17, so we're down this month for a change.
It was a strange one. We ran, it was our slowest march we've had in several years, and they mostly came in on the highway through the city of Brook Township.
Yeah, pretty light month, those kind of things. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to accept the fire department report.
Second that.
Any questions? All in favor?
Nice.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sheriff Department report. 36 runs last month was the total. Biggest thing on here was TS, which I can't remember what that is anymore. Andy. Off the top of your head.
Traffic stop?
It could be.
The traffic's on there as well.
Yeah. That was the biggest thing we had. 36 were down from last month, a high of 59. So we're trending down on that. We're trending both down in fire and police, so I think that's a good idea.
You're supposed to be giving us a explanation of what these mean.
We're working on that. So, yeah, I gotta give him a call back. I normally run anywhere from 36 to 40 calls, and so 36 is right for all the things. Pretty common. Any other questions? Motion to accept the sheriff's report.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so we gotta do a wind moratorium. And find out we weren't doing them properly. So what we have to do is do a resolution for a moratorium. You can only do it for like 6 months. You guys wanna talk about that? You guys are gonna be working on board on that pretty quick, I think.
I don't think we have anything set up for wind.
No,
That's why the last time we did such a, I think we did 2 years last time.
right.
Mhm.
So this is done by the lawyer, so come to find out, you can only do moratorium for 6 months with a resolution in place. So now we're legit.
Okay.
Pat is got a bunch of information on it from a couple of townships. He's gonna review it. He'll probably get with you.
Yeah.
So we're looking into it.
Justin brought some in too.
Oh, did he? Good. Oh, so you got it up there? Yes.
No, that's the CO2 drilling.
What's that?
I just noticed that that's the
CO2
CO2 drilling.
Yeah.
That's in my packet.
We're supposed to go here on wind too.
Yeah, it's the only one that I had on my desk.
It's not in there.
That's the only one I had on my desk. I
That's
didn't,
okay.
yeah.
It's the same thing, it's the same process, we gotta do the same thing.
So we can do the, third one. next one.
Yeah, we're gonna-
Mhm.
No, because wind's on here. We do the drilling next month.
I can go look to see if it's on the stuff, but yeah, that's the one that I had, she had put on my
We
desk.
can do the, at least the wind moratorium, but it's the same thing, we gotta do it for only 6 months, it's the same exact paperwork and everything.
You're just extending it, right?
Yes.
You're just extending it, right?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
well, it was extended till, yeah, actually, yeah, because it comes due this month.
Mhm.
So we're saying for 6 months with the same thing it says on the CO2 drilling, we have to.
Okay.
It's all done by a lawyer, so that's not a big deal.
Is the CO2 drilling one, up at April?
No, that's actually December of 26. We have to put on agenda next
So
month.
then this is just.
That should be win. Yeah, we're good with that.
Gotcha, okay.
It's not on the agenda anyway. Make motion to set the wind moratorium, which is actually a resolution for moratorium to the lawyer for 6 months.
I'll second that.
And I think I do a roll call for this. Supervisor Bogey, yes. Stephanie is absent. Joel,
Yes.
Nick,
Yeah,
Joe,
Yes.
passes. Now we got the assistant assessor contract. Which is what we've been talking about. You want to get her back on the line? She got in here.
I'm here.
You want to talk about that real quick, Karen?
Nothing's really changed since the last time you guys approved this, except that, my new contract is now for 3 years, so this contract aligns with my contract. But it's basically all the same terms as far as pay and assignments. I did put a clause in there, though, that if my contract were to expire early, that this contract would also terminate as well. So,
Okay.
so that's all.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yep. Any questions? Joel,
No, it sounds good to me.
Joe? No. I make a motion to accept the assistant assessor contract. In fact, before we go any farther, I'll explain what's going on with this. Karen's gonna be with us another 3 years, and she's probably gonna be bailing, leaving. She's training this person to step into her position. And that way, we got a great assessor now, and I hate to lose her, but she's been retired and hopefully some follows in her footsteps. So she wants to train them properly. So that's what this is all about. We talked about this, I think, at our board meetings before last year as well. I make a motion to accept the assistant assessor contract.
I'll second that.
And do roll call. Supervisor Bogey, yes. Stephanie Clerk is absent. Treasurer Joel,
Yes.
Shelby,
Yes.
Trustee Nick.
yes.
New business, we got a land division. Which this is actually pretty simple. I remember correctly, this lady has passed away and it's her trust and the kids want it. They want to separate the house off them. You want to relate on it anymore, or is that pretty much a nutshell?
That's pretty much it in a nutshell. It's a clean cut division. There's nothing out of the ordinary with it. There's nothing that's gonna be created. There's no landlocked parcels gonna be created out of it. So it's a trust. I know Karen reviewed it also. And I looked it over as well as a site visit, and it doesn't appear that there's any follow with the boundary adjustments. Paperwork is all in order. So I recommend that the division be approved.
And they're just keeping the farmland.
I'm sorry?
They're keeping the farmland, that's what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are they doing, splitting out the house?
Yeah.
And the barns?
Yes.
Barn goes with the house.
Barn goes with the house. They understand they can't split the house without the barn.
Just like the road frontage.
You gotta have a principal resident on the property.
We'll have to talk about that. There's been a couple of those.
Yeah. Well, you could split the barn off, but you can't because there's not enough road frontage. If I'm not mistaken, right? That's why we're doing that. Any questions, Joel?
How big's the lot for the house now in the barn? You know?
3 acres?
Should be
61 by-
three, 3.2, three.
Yeah, that one's 30.
Is it 3 or is it 3.25?
Is this as 3.0,
3 acres, yeah,
Alright.
give or take a little?
right.
Then for the PA 116, if they were in it, you're allowed to do 2.5 acres off that. So they're in the clear.
Yeah,
The 38 is the 0.324.
right. And the 3 acres is parcel 2.
Questions, Joel?
No, I'm good with it.
I'm good with it.
I'm good. Make a motion to accept the land division.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Now, on to the greenstone project. Talk would be great.
Thank you so much. My name is Molly Mumford-Coy, and I'm a regional manager of the government and community relations for the region. And I've been with the company for 33 years. I live in the Saline area. I'm president of the Saline Area Chamber of Commerce, and I spend a lot of time in the community. In the Milan community, I've worked actively with your Greater Milan Community Foundation. We planted trees at the high school back in the fall with the FFA and the students. We support the chamber here. We've also supported moving Milan forward, the holiday parade, just a number of efforts. So I've really gotten to know the citizens over the last, been in this role for 25 years.
Before you keep going.
Sure.
So what is this? Who are you with?
So I'm with DTE Energy. Yeah, I wanted to let you know who I represent. We've been partners in this community for 150 years. I wanted to share that. I have with me some representatives from DTE and Battelle, and we are doing a research project with the Department of Energy. And so this is strictly a research project. There's no CCS activity that will be involved in this. But I wanted to take the time to come out and share with you. We have some flyers, and I'll pass a few of these out. I think you've got them at your stations as well. And I have with me here tonight Harry Stanzel Jr., and he's with our planning department. He's director of planning and strategy for generation, new development generation. And he can kind of walk you through this project. As I mentioned, it's a research project. It will allow us to come in and basically set up a test well, perform some rock geology sampling. And that's basically it. It lasts for about 35 days. But I'm going to let Harry just kind of give you the background on the project.
And what was your name again?
Again, Molly Lumper-Coy, regional manager for DTE Energy. Thank you, Harry.
Yeah, thanks, Molly, and thanks all for having us here tonight. Wanted to talk a little bit about what Molly mentioned, an activity that we're planning for over the next couple of months here. And I brought some of our partners from Battelle. Battelle is a science and development research company. They had applied for a grant from the Department of Energy about 1.5 years ago. DTE partnered with them on this grant, and the purpose of the grant was to test the geology in Southeast Michigan, ultimately to see if it'd be suitable for carbon capture and sequestration. I want to talk a little bit about what this project is and what it isn't currently. What it is we've identified some land here in the Milan Township area that we think would be good to drill, to do a test well drilling. Absolutely no injection of any kind of anything, no CO2 injection. I did see the moratorium up here. And I do want to clarify, this is not a CO2 well. This is a test well to pull some core samples out, do some testing, and return it back to its normal state. So that is something that we currently have tentatively scheduled for around the June-July timeframe. We wanted to make you all aware of it, and obviously we understand that questions could come out of this, so we wanted to make ourselves fully transparent and available to answer any questions that anybody may have. As part of this process too, I also want to mention that we would definitely do like a public open house, and invite people that would be in the area that may see this drilling rig up and have questions. I don't know if this is the right form to ask, but we think this might actually be a good venue for that open house. I don't know if it's available or not.
I think we could probably do that, but definitely I want my citizens to know before something's even drilled in the ground.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We'd be happy to pay to rent the facility if we could work with you. Our hope was sometime in May, like a time frame of what, like 4:30 to 6:30. Folks can stop in, meet with our.
Yeah, whatever's a good day, a good time that you think would be.
I mean, till like 7 o'clock, a lot of people are, they work way out of town.
Yeah, I mean, we're flexible with the time frame.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll be, there's actually, as Molly mentioned, there's suppliers. I don't know if we have more copies, if everybody would have a copy if needed, but there's also a website on here that explains it a little bit in more detail. And actually, we'll also talk a lot more about like the CCS process, and but I also wanted to clarify, if at any point we would consider CO2 injection, we're on a time frame that's 10 years in the future. And more importantly than that, that's something that would not be done without community support, so just want to clarify that as well. This is this activity over the next, well, when I say over the next couple of months, the activity itself would be about a month, 30 to probably 30 to 40 days of drilling to get the samples they need. And then, like I said, the rig will be torn down and the property will be restored to its natural state. They'll do some studying, but over that, between now and then, we want to do some, engagement and outreach and be able to answer any questions people may have.
And we can certainly come back and kind of give you our findings once we, once that is examined and looked at, so.
So how far out for drilling, test drilling is it gonna be?
We're thinking probably like the late June, July timeframe.
Is this already a goal?
So we've secured some land not too far from here, Ann Arbor Road and Old Key Road.
It's actually in the 1.2 heavy industrial.
Yeah, it's kind of in that industrial location. We were, for a time, we were actually talking to Pulse, and we thought it'd be a good idea if we could just do it on their property. It might, draw a little less attention and alarm if people saw it there, but we weren't able to work that out. But we're like across the street on Ann Arbor Road and Old Key Road there.
And this is governed by the state, right?
Yeah. So we will. We have to get a permit from Eagle for this, and they've got, we'll have to make sure we're adhering to all of their safety regulations and all that kind of stuff.
So what do you need to, are you gonna, this is a goal, this isn't a you wanna do it, this is you're gonna do it, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
This is more of a transparency kind of outreach.
Well, and our transparency for these citizens here, why here? And why so close to a township that just lost 90% of the wells to somebody who dug a hole the size of Toledo?
So I'm
because I'd like to know what's the diameter of the well, how deep is the well, what are you gonna do, close the well?
And that's why I got the tell folks here. Answer.
So this is much deeper. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, you're probably aware of this. I'm honestly not even aware of the situation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the geology in the
London Township.
northwest quadrant of Monroe County is geology that we think is such that, better geology than other areas.
Yeah, and I'll let
Talk about
Raj.
that.
I think the freshwater zones, they're like hundreds of feet deep. We're looking at 4,000 feet deep, so significantly deeper, where you have salty water.
I know, but you're taking and you're putting a hole through everything, whether it's an aquifer you go through that we're using and draining it out because it's going 4,000 feet deep. This is a very, very touchy subject here because if you guys look at London Township, they lost, Miss Amanda, how many wells roughly? 50% of their wells in London Township. What did they lose? A lot.
Honestly, that was before my
Before your
time.
time, she didn't do it.
But no,
There were
many people
a
lost
lot.
their wells.
So that's a very good question. Generally for these well designs, there are multiple layers of steel casings to prevent any kind of
attachment to the groundwater, the drinking water. And the process for drilling permit is very extensive. And if it ever goes to injection, that's a multi-year process. So in this case, the freshwater zones are isolated by multiple layers of steel casing before we drill any deeper. And we're not injecting anything other than water for a couple of few hours type thing, or just.
So how are you gonna keep with this steel casing? How are you gonna keep an aquifer from draining down into a 4,000 foot
Because
hole
it's,
once you pull that pipe out of the ground?
because it's cemented completely, to make sure any communication from the freshwater comes. And if we pull when we are done, then it's plugged in accordance with the state standards, which require that total protection of flow across zones.
That, I still, I would have to see something.
Yeah, I think that's
We
where the
are
open house
very,
is at.
very touchy here.
I know, I
We don't
think
have, we don't have the luxury of having water other than our wells.
Yeah,
You
no,
know.
fully understood. I think that's an issue that at least I'm not aware of what happened in the past when we get that.
Not here, it was in London Township.
London Township.
Next to
And
us.
then the open house,
It's very close.
Yeah, and it's
And
right
he
next
grew
to us.
up there and all their wells went
I
there,
see.
his mom and dad, I mean, it's.
So there was-
it's-
And the
everybody has
DEQ
different water.
Wells
told
didn't
everybody
just
it
go
was
dry
not a
though.
problem.
but that's somebody else.
We'll definitely take that back. Yeah, we're not
They have water halls in there.
needing
all
to
the
try
time.
to.
They can't call what they have
Yeah,
here
it's-
potable well.
And
'cause it's
then
not potable.
there's, okay,
No.
I don't know if you understand wells and people that have wells.
Missing the point.
Because you probably got water coming out of them.
Well, I mean, I would geology, but so it's not different.
So here's the,
Just
here's
like
the
they
problem.
will if they-
Anytime a well goes in this township, if I live next to that well and it goes into my aquifer, everything I got in my house fills up in mud.
Oh,
That happens. You know, guy drills next door, I get mud.
because they're trying to pull from that same interval.
That's correct. So when you drill here, obviously, we don't want the people to have their wells
Okay.
filled with mud. Number two, there's a lot of sulfur here. We have a handful of good wells and good aquifers, no sulfur.
That's like gold in this town.
That is good.
Yeah.
So you drill through a sulfur aquifer into a good aquifer going 4,000 feet. What's gonna happen to the good aquifer? Is it gonna be sulfur now?
That's part of the due diligence as we do the design, and when we come in for the open house, you will see the well design and the drilling plans more in more detail.
I won't wait for the open house. Because I live here and I won't wait for the open house. Cause I wanna know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, we
I mean,
can,
cause open house to me is gonna be too late. Cause that means you guys are way down the road.
Yeah, because that's only a month before you want to start.
yeah, we'll,
We need to know something, what I would say is we need to know something way before you drill.
So you need to know better about the groundwater protections
I
and
need to know
making
how
sure
to
that the
get.
sulfur zones will not interfere with freshwater.
And just saying DEQ said it's okay isn't gonna fly,
That's
because they
okay.
said it was okay in London Township.
Yeah.
yeah,
People that say it's okay, don't live there, and they don't know what it really wants to do.
So
They're
we've
developing
got
positions.
some national materials on safety and on how the drill is, you
But,
know.
we'll do some.
Just have to look at this area. to
Yeah.
make sure.
Yeah, we'll definitely dig into this, because we're, you know, if we dig into this and we realize that there's a chance to cause problems, we'll walk away, so.
And they try to
Is there any
water to
geological
replace-
study as to where the Oxford runs through this township?
Where the aquifer
Yes.
runs through.
Yeah,
Do you have the geological
yeah,
study?
we've reviewed all the water well logs for the area.
Mhm.
So we know how deep they are, and that's how they design the casing plan, to make sure they case off and cement off any sort of groundwater.
When you say cement off, are you guys using the expandable cement like they would to seal a well? Or is it regular liquid cement?
It's
It's the expandable
Portland cement, so.
Portland cement?
And that goes around the casing in the ground when you put the well in, or it's part of the
Yeah.
drill?
They drill the hole, then they run the casing and they pump the cement. actually down
Between the ground and the casing?
Yeah, and then it goes out the bottom and fills up to the top.
So the ground's not being returned to its original. Like you say.
Well,
Cause the cement will stay in the ground.
Yes, but I think,
Stay in that corridor.
I think you want that to stay in the ground, yeah.
And then as you go up, once you seal off the top zones, only then you drill deeper. So if the cement is good in the top zone, then you start drilling deeper, not before then. So it's a very sequential process and you have multiple layers of casing before you go to the deeper zone. And if there is a zone like sulfur zone and stuff, then special attention is paid to make sure that it's sealed off and it's not connecting with anything.
Well, where you're gonna drill, your proposed drilling area is right next to a big sulfur zone. You are in it,
I've heard that.
because Dundee Cement is
Just
directly,
behind it.
yeah, just across the road.
Is that sulfur and drinking water too, or just below deeper?
Pardon me?
Is that sulfur coming in the water wells also, or is it like deeper, do you know?
It's in the water wells, yeah.
It's in the water.
Correct, yeah.
Yes.
And then when Cabela's well, to fill their pond in, they hit sulfur and those ponds smelled for 6 months to a year.
And those are the hazards that we specially look for and make sure that there is a safety plan for that. Even for the drilling crew, we will need to make sure that we have the safety plan if that's needs to be looked at.
We definitely would wanna have somebody here, and I would like to have somebody here to talk to see what you're gonna do. I don't know why you have to do it in this township. Go to a township that has wells, or go to a township that don't have wells.
I think this is just a test well, so if, based on what we find, then we will see where is the best location, if there is one.
Test somewhere else.
So what makes, so
Don't
what
test here.
makes, just what makes
the
this
geology.
township appealing?
The geology of the area, we looked at parts around the state, right, so, just the formation of the geology of the area. We, you know, we look at a number of different locations we have.
So there are two things that you need to make sure that deeper down, like 3, 4, 5,000 feet deep, there are rocks that can absorb the fluid, okay? Second is that there is the CO2. The other thing, you have to have a good cap rock. And this whole area, not just Southeast Michigan, but the entire area has good cap rock in it. So you need to make sure there are no fractures or other things that will cause leakage. That's partly why you want to drill the test wells, so you can decide if it's even worth looking at or not.
And the chemical gets injected with high pressure, correct? So does that fracture the rocks below, you know, wherever you're injecting it?
The EPA permitting requirements do not allow you to inject above fracture pressure. It has to be safely below a margin, below a safety margin for any fracture pressure.
Michigan's kind of a unique state in that we actually store a lot of our gas storage underground as well. I mean, it's the geology of the state is, you know,
It's by the airport, across from the airport.
well, we have locations out there in all area.
Michigan has hundreds of.
Michigan, there's several locations for good storage.
Who's doing the actual drilling? What company is doing
We
it?
will have a drilling company that's used to just deeper drilling. I don't know if the company has been selected yet. Generally, we look at their safety record and their performance record before we select. And their capability to make sure that we can get the rock samples that we need, and you know, we can do the monitoring that we need. It's a combination of things. But their safety record is very high.
So we're not too happy with DTE in this township. You know, we're to be, you know, upfront.
Can I ask you why?
Yeah, because we fought solar for 2 years because of,
The
I-
project
I-
wasn't associated with DTE.
I know that's what you're saying, but these projects get sold to DTE. These solar projects, and they're all vying to do this. There's no guys, they're all vying to sell these projects. They're not in this business.
I'm telling you, I've been around for 33 years and 25 in this role. We had no solar projects in this area.
Well, there's not one here now.
Well, I
There
mean,
was one trying.
we try to
There were
work
several
with the community
trying.
always. We try very hard to be open and transparent, and we work with the communities. I mean, that's why we're here tonight. That's why we reached out. That's why we offered, work study session and open house, and, and that's just how we operate.
But, if anything, I would like to have an open house. Forget the open house. I like to have a work session with the citizens here before your open house. And before you're already sitting there with the drill rig and the drill sitting in the ground, ready to go. I mean, we would like to have some say in what you're gonna do and at least see what you're gonna do before you do it. And,
We
that,
can certainly accommodate
it
that.
really is, it's very, very, very concerning. And if you come in here and drill the well and bam, I got sulfur in my water because I got a good well. I don't have water no more. Joe next to me don't have water anymore. We won't be happy people. And, we're gonna want some assurances, and it's gonna be insurances. And if our wells go defunct, we want some water in here,
Understood.
So, if the people of this township, the problem with, it's a small township, and it's very small, and it's getting taken advantage of because we are small. And I do not want that to happen here, what happened in London Township. And the assurance is, if it does happen, then what? Then are we gonna get water wells? Are we gonna get a water line in here coming from Monroe, coming from Dundee, coming from Milan, wherever? Somebody gonna put their water in for us? That's kind of, the concerns we have here.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, understood.
Again, the technology is much different.
Well,
To some extent, and, we again have to adhere to all the state regulations, and we can get you federal data.
but we'll get very specific. I mean, we'll dig into this.
Let me tell you
Yeah.
something about federal regulation and state regulations. This place down the road dug a hole, doing mining, following all the state regulations, all the federal regulations, everything's fine and dandy. But there had a river coming out of this thing the size of the Rio Grande. And it was draining because I drove by it every day when I went to work. It was a river 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It didn't matter if it was mid-August or December. Oh, they're only pumping 3 million gallons a year. Not so much. So there's concern, you can say that, oh yeah, we're gonna follow the state, we're gonna follow the federal. We don't care. We wanna see what is gonna protect us and our wells. That's what we wanna know.
Understood.
I've worked for contractors for DT, and I know that you guys say this, and I know you really do, you guys up on your level really do
Maybe on your
try.
level.
But I'm worked for a lot of contractors that work for DT, and when it gets to that level, a lot of them don't care. So that's where it scares me. If my well goes dry or I get sulfur, I'm gonna be pissed. I mean,
Because we're
flat
just
out.
across the street down
Yeah.
here.
And like I
this
said, I know
side-
you guys care, I know you guys say what you say, but when it comes down to the contractor level, I've been there, I'm the guy, you see the mud on my boots, I'm working for DT right now. I mean, that's just the way it goes.
We do have very high standards, safety is our core value for the company. And so, we do expect our contractors to have very high standards with respect to safety.
And I mean, safety for your company, but please
Well, not
consider
only
the residents
community, the
in the
workers.
community
Yes,
and
absolutely.
their concerns.
Sure,
I
yeah,
understand
absolutely.
that, maybe our geology's right for this project, or whatever, but
Is it worth putting in the whole
is
water
it,
system for
when
the
you
township?
think about how people have suffered, with this other project, and that it was just right in their head, it's just a blind guy, and, screw you, and now they have that water hauled in, and they have the septic system. So you can understand our weariness and you know, even though it is 10 years down the road, I might not be here, but I've got my kids here. And I want to protect our community. And, you know, I realize that there's government, but like he says, government up here doesn't care about us. Maybe you guys do, but the people above you have a project. You know, my husband worked for a company and you still have to get work done. You still have to make this project come to fruition. I get that. So I see both sides. I mean, don't take it personally, but we are very concerned about.
And I appreciate that, definitely.
Community
And just know that we've been a
residents.
part of the community. We have employees that live in this community, you know, again, you know, it's very important to us. We will take a very thoughtful and methodical approach.
And this was very, very helpful for us. The action I'm hearing out of this is we need to take this back. We need to research everything that had been done in this area before, marry it up with what our plans were, not just meeting the, you know, EGO and DEQ guidelines and stuff like that, but very specifically, which was
Like
gonna be
the
part of our
township
plan,
is
but
right
making
here
sure
across
we're
the
addressing
street, and-
fully and then meeting with you all to.
I guess that's the question, can you guarantee that? I mean, yeah, you can't, I mean, that's what's.
I think it would help if you came back, if you had a representative from Eagle with you. Since Eagle's gonna be the watchdog, and we don't trust, it's not like we trust Eagle anyway. Because, well, we had no faith in the EPA. And the EPA just kind of like tossed everybody aside and said, well, now you have a division of your own, it's Eagle, you deal with them. Well, we have dealt with them and to no avail, but at least there's some accountability and at the state level.
Yeah.
So with Eagle or an Eagle representative being here, they could outline what precautions, what protections they're gonna give the residents of the township.
Yeah, we talked about having an equal representative at the open
Yeah,
house,
for sure.
you know, for those very same reasons, to have a safety area as
Yeah.
well, to, you know, to be able to.
And I get it, but
Yeah.
Eagle would have to guarantee the township that they're gonna have a representative on site watching this as it goes along, I mean, for accountability purposes.
Right.
You know, people just don't wanna hold DTE accountable. We wanna hold the state of Michigan accountable because the state of Michigan they're backing the project. Basically by issuing you a permit to do it. Because it blows my mind that you're here when there's an entire state and there's an entire shoreline and watershed all over. And it would seem to me that the upper part of the state would be more valuable to CO2 in the ground with decay back in the day than it would be here in a floodplain. That's what's confusing to me. You got upstate and you got downstate, and I get it. This used to be Lake Erie at one time. And geologically, yes, there's shale, there's layers under here, but there's greater layers north. You know, so I'm kind of scratching my head going, why here?
There was, well, I'll let you say, because you work in the upper part
I
of the
think
state.
a couple of things to say. One, when we say the geology is good here, it's good enough for us on quick look to say that we should be doing more investigation here. We would not know if it's acceptable until we do the drilling and a lot more work, many years of work, before deciding that it's suitable for what needs to be done. So this is really not even close to saying that this is acceptable area. Until we do the testing and drilling, we would not know. I have personally done at least 15 years of work in upper area, Otsego County areas on geology and CO2 storage and oil and gas fields here. So yes, there is some good geology here, there too, but there is significantly better geology in the southern tier of Michigan counties. And there are similar projects being considered elsewhere too. So we don't know where these things will end up. Will this ever be deployed or not? It's too early to say.
So how many have been done here? How many have been done in Lower Michigan so far?
As far as CO2 injection, none.
Okay, how many experimental drills?
Across the country.
No, in Michigan.
More than 50.
No, in Southeast Michigan.
Southeast Michigan, I don't know, has there been any more drilling? Maybe one more?
No, I think that's why the grant was.
Yeah, that's why the grant.
Department of Energy that
So it hasn't been done.
If it
One
had
hole
been
maybe.
done, then we would not get the grant, right? Yeah, because
That
then we would
doesn't
not-
make me warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, but many other parts of the United States, including Michigan, it has been done and looked at. And it's not being injected because it's just too early, right? So it's many tens of years of work before.
Yeah. In the desert where there's nobody, why don't you take this crap to the desert where nobody lives and where there's not.
Well, that's why the solar should be,
All of it, all of it, yeah, like not in residential area, it's, and I know you're just the messenger, I get that, that's why I'm saying.
I think our job is to
Yeah.
do the investigation and let the decisions to the community
Talk to
and
the higher ups and say, take it out. Well,
it's being done there also.
That's your
It's a-
assignment today.
Yes.
Just keep in mind, again, it's a research opportunity here.
So you guys wanna put CO2 down, I mean, I know this is a test to see what's gonna go on, but you're gonna put CO2 down if it goes through and we got sulfur, is that gonna mix? I mean, does CO2 and sulfur get along with each other?
They are in totally different zones, so they're not, if it appears they will mix, we will not get a permit ever.
All right, well, that's what I'm gonna say, cause I don't think that would get along.
Yeah, we would not even submit a permit if there was a risk like that.
And then, the other thing is Mark Marietta, which is right up the next township over, up and over. So that used to be a dump, just, what is it, just east of Milan. Barely just north and east, and now it's a hazardous waste dump, and they lost cranes down there, because they hit a underground aquifer. And it flooded, people ran out, and there's, I guess, cranes and bulldozers, everything's still down there, and it's deep. So our big fear is if you hit that, you're gonna do the same thing, and now it could be flooded out, I don't know, this is the questions that I think are important. The guarantee in the wells, you know what, you're gonna guarantee that if one of our wells get contaminated, you come in and giving us water, because you're not. I can tell you right now, you ain't coming in our township. We fought since I was a little kid. Everything that's tried to come in this township, and we won. We won against the railroad, we won against GM. The super collider, which is a federal project, they wanted to put a 15-mile test track underground underneath. My mom actually fought that and won, along with all the other residents. So we're not gonna lay back and welcome everybody in the township, and then and we're in a floodplain all the way to Ridge Road. This is Lake Erie Basin, like Mr. Doobie over there said, so that could be leads to a problem too. The other thing is, my problem with CO2 is, you're gonna get carbon credits. When this goes through and this happens, wherever, I don't wanna see those carbon credits, you guys get them and then sell them to California for a profit. Cause I know they need them more than anybody else on the planet. That's some of my concern. The other thing is, you said that DT's not nothing going on. Well, I got this about 2 months ago from DT. You guys want to put solar on my mother's property and buy it for $24,000 an acre. Do you know about this?
The operation you talked about 2 years ago?
No, this is recently. This just happened.
We have an obligation to have X number of renewable, right, megawatt hours in the system. And so we have to explore all over the state. But our position has always been to work with the community. If the community doesn't want it, we've not forced it upon the community. That's how we've done. We've done landscaping. We've done all kinds of things to make it, an investment that's appreciated by the community. So again, we may be out looking at areas, but if the community doesn't want it, we don't force it to them.
Well, $24,000 an acre is a pretty tough thing to turn down.
But the property owner, obviously, and the community have to come together and say that this is something that they want together. So we have an obligation to service our customers with a certain portfolio standard for renewables. And so we have to figure out a way to get there.
Is it per township or county or
It's
what?
across the state of Michigan. It's part of the Michigan state law, right? So a certain percentage has to be serviced by renewable technology.
So what's that percentage?
Well, it was 15%, but it's growing. So we have to continue to meet the state guidelines for renewable technology. So
It's doing, it's not growing. That number is going down. It's not.
and there's many
not growing.
communities that, are again, wanting more and more renewable technology, right? 100% renewable technology. So we're trying to find the right balance. We want to keep rates affordable for customers. We want to be able to meet state guidelines. We want to work with the communities, and that's always been our position.
And the problem is the people who want these renewable energies are the people that live in the big cities.
Right.
And they love it there, and it's not gonna go in their yard, you know, it's coming out
Actually,
here.
We've had a lot of rural areas. I can speak to Monroe County just because I've worked in Monroe County. The Aicha Mother's Sister House down in Monroe, which is, you know, they have a solar array right in the back, you know, behind the mother house.
Yeah.
We worked with Monroe County Community College. They were one of our very first partners on a large solar array. And it's a teaching tool for the college as well, you know, so they're able to.
Those are
look at that.
different, just, excuse me, those are way different than what they're talking about when they come out with these neighborhoods. and-
Originally, I think it was 12.
They're talking 1,400, 1,500, 2,000 acres of solid panels, you know, not 20 acres in the back and 15.
Well, we
Yeah.
did experimental opportunities, if we can find congruent properties and where the community is excited about it and wants to be a part. I mean, there's, you know, opportunities that we work with, you know, the communities, we do extra things like landscaping. We've looked at other things, you know,
If I
learning
could just
opportunities.
offer something, I'm not as close to the solar development at DTE, but I do know they've got a lot of, you know, they're chasing a lot of large projects in the state. And I'll just offer this up, they're obviously gonna be looking for the path of least resistance, and
Well, you meant the resistance here, I can tell you that.
I'm just laying that out there, there's resistance, you know, because they've got, as Molly mentioned, they've got a lot they need to do, and,
Absolutely.
you know.
It's not just solar, like I said, it's everything. Everything gets dumped out here because we're the northwest corner of Monroe County, Monroe. And it just seems like we're the dumping ground, but we all band together. The solar was at 98%. We don't want it.
Like our community the way it is.
Want to-
You know, take solar to parking lots and to, you know, colleges and be carports for places and put them on buildings and, you know,
Like
I
here-
mean, it just, we like, for agricultural, we wanna stay that, we wanna preserve our wells. And we know you're just the messenger, but.
I can tell you right now, if you won't put any kind of guarantee, you ain't touch a drill bit in this township, that ain't gonna happen. You'll have everybody down there hanging out with you, you don't want that. Our biggest thing, we lose our wells, you're gonna have a lot of upset people. And it's gonna get ugly really quick, so I want a guarantee on these wells.
We'll take
I am
that
worried,
and see.
because like I said, we got a problem over here in the next township over. And now that's a hazardous waste dump now. I think it's rated number 4 or 5 in Michigan. It's a disaster. And then, you know, like I said, out there in London, Sand had the same issue.
Well, like Wabash Road, which is right here, is already hit or miss with sulfur. And people having to haul water. So the concern is, that is close, I mean, it doesn't seem that close, but the way the crow flies is close. So that's just, you know, there's big concerns here with all of this, that people wanna make sure they have their clean water. On top of that, their property values will significantly decrease if they have to haul water. If they ever wanna move, that's also a concern.
And we hear that, and we appreciate you sharing that, thank you.
But one thing you gotta do or look at is be cognizant of the fact. You come into these communities and you push the well here, or you push the solar panels, or you put in, you know, windmills or whatever it is, the next hot thing. And you get your percentage up and, you know, everybody's yee-haw, but what happens is our rates keep going up. Our rates keep going up, and, you know, we're gonna sit here, it'd be the burden of what you guys have to help everything else, and you ship it to Detroit or wherever you're gonna ship the electric once you get it. And it doesn't do anything for here, you know? But what would you do if you come in here and you said, hey, we're gonna put this in, but we're gonna put water in? Or we're gonna put this in, but we're gonna give everybody in this township a credit of this much on their electrical bill, on their, you know, on their per watt. You know, if the township has to bear the burden, they should get some kind of relief for something. And this, it just doesn't happen that way. You want a burden, but then you raise the rates and raise the rates and raise the rates. I mean,
So, and to be clear, on the rates, we are average across the United States with our rates. So
I understand that.
we have a mechanism with the Public Service Commission, that's our procedure annually, right? I mean, that's set in law that we go in front to get reinvestment of our infrastructure. We do a lot of, a lot of investment in infrastructure, right? To improve lines, to improve the grid system, and everything. So, that's the opportunity to be able to recoup the investments that are made. And that's making a huge difference in the grid reliability. I can tell you from 2023 to 2024, we saw a 75% increase in reliability for the region, for Washtenaw County alone and Monroe County. So, so that investment, the mechanism for us to be able to get those investment dollars is through an annual rate case. That's why, folks might say, well, you're constantly back with, rate cases. That's our structure to do that. So we are able to continue making great investments in the community. So again,
and don't fight it, and you don't get a word in it, so.
but affordability is really important to us too, and we work really hard to make things affordable for our customers, whether it be payment plan arrangements, energy efficiency. We do a lot of energy waste reduction programs, energy efficiency tools for commercial, for residential customers. So we really try hard to, reach out to our most vulnerable populations. So that's something we take pride in.
Yeah, and I'll, we're taking up a lot of your time.
Yeah.
We've got an action item to
Yep.
go back and do some research on everything that's been done here for wells and to obviously come back and talk to you all
And I would like
before any type of,
you to get a hold of the supervisor and set something up for, before you, not a week or a month before you do your drilling,
yeah.
We're happy to do that.
as
In
quick
fact,
as we
I
can.
offer,
sure.
to have a
Yeah,
work
if
study
it's next
session.
week, whatever.
Yeah,
Send you a
We
letter
probably have to
requesting that,
advertise
right?
something.
So I
Yeah.
try to be very transparent and upfront and share that, so. absolutely.
You better have it at the high school.
I mean, yeah, I was,
Like the solar
there's
meetings?
gonna be a lot of questions,
There we-
because we'll, we have to post. a
So we used to
public
have,
meeting,
we used to have to hold our meetings at the middle school, high school,
Elementary, it
elementary.
was the upper elementary.
We never have 125 to 150 people there fighting the solar. I mean, it was unbelievable. And then when you look at the end, there was 98% of the population said, no, they didn't want it. 2% did, when it comes down to brass tacks. So
Well, and just keep in mind, this is not solar.
Yeah,
This is an
we know.
experiment. It's a
I
research
know, but this is
test.
even worse than my book.
Actually, we believe it's a very safe technology. So
But your
Yeah.
belief in the
So
fear of the residents is
I understand.
opposite ends of the spectrum, so we wanna make you aware, you're
Sure.
ready for a lot of questions.
Yep.
You're ready for people to grill you.
And that's where
Lack
a
of words,
representative
but-
from Eagle would come in handy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to try to have a thing here and see how it works out, it's great, but if it floods, then we're gonna have to move it to the school. I wouldn't. You might have to have two of them.
He's in for like an open house.
Yeah, but a work session is a smaller group session generally, where we discuss more of the details, and then open house is for the public to come in and talk and ask questions. I
One-on-one.
want to clarify, work
how-
session, by work session, you mean a room like this with a few people, right? So we can get into more detail.
Before we do kind of the broader.
Before
ones,
the
get-
broader
to
one.
get
Maybe we can come
you all
back
comfortable.
to one of your next,
We
board
might have
meetings
to, we might have to have it.
and just answer
Yeah,
questions
it's-
you might have. Happy to do that.
I want to be clear that we're prepared for like a work session where we bring our drilling person or experts that can talk to you or a few other people and answer questions. Then an open house is where public can come in and they can ask questions and see examples and displays.
If we had them here and there were more than three of us here, we would have to have an open meeting,
Yeah,
correct?
In a
Yeah.
sense, yeah.
because we can't meet like together, otherwise it's.
More than
Totally
three.
understand that. Yep.
But,
Has to be posted.
But-
Yeah, we just can't
I'm
decide
sure-
anything.
Yeah.
But we can come with.
but I'm sure if you get hold of Mark, he can set something up.
Okay,
I'm not
thank you
talking
so
to
much.
Yeah, thank you.
I didn't talk to you, did I, Mark?
We're happy to answer it.
So Greenstone, go ahead and open it.
Is that now?
Yeah. So the Greenstone, we're just gonna make a motion that, we heard what they had to say. More information. So I make a motion to accept the Greenstone as far as the information coming in?
I will check it. Info.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Board comments. I got one. Actually, I don't, but I do. You read all through that mess yet?
Yeah, I read it.
Stephanie's not here, so she gave us her list of things, which is
4 pages, just kidding.
3 pages, it's 2.5 pages long. She first just want to say what's kind of going on in the township.
You went over disbursements already.
Yeah, whenever it's just Mike Seeker did a report as Robert was out for a while for our building inspector. Bone cutters did the complete of the cemetery job. Straub heating and cooling and come out and replace the furnace motor. Foster Swift, which is our lawsuit against solar, they paid them $222. Jackie Heath got payment for $600, and Jason Heath come in and paid $600 plus $75 for the transfer fees for the cemetery. A lot of stuff in here. I had the septic tank cleaned out. Come to find out, we had a bad smell in here for like 2 weeks. Septic tank was full, we got it cleaned out, and there was a clog in the one line. We got that straightened out, so that's done. Oh, individual assistance on contract, fire department budget. Please mind the township paid over $220,000 here alone, which is included overdue invoices of Q4 that were never billed. We got it in the general fund to pay it, but that's a whole nother situation. Pretty much all the same on that one. Reminders, yep, April 26th is trash day from 8 to 12, 8 to 2, sorry. Check the website for items that are excluded. And we got a dedication on May 17th at Rice Cemetery, which this is something we do gotta bring up. Andrew brought up a thing that we need a porta potty over there, so we're gonna have a lot of people over there, Rice, on May 17th for the dedication for that. We got a state representative coming, I think we got Molino coming. Senate, well, yeah.
State right.
Yeah. Senator Molino, and then I can't remember the rep that's supposed to be coming too. It's actually.
Brock.
Who?
Go Brock.
I think so, yeah.
You're representative from this district.
Yeah, I know, I'm just got a lot going on. But we do need to probably put a porta potty out there. For that thing, so I'll get prices on that, I'll bring that back to the board.
What's the date for the?
17th.
April or May 17th.
Okay, so we'll have our
11
next
a.m.
meeting.
We'll have another meeting and we can do the porta potty in there.
Yeah, so we can approve that on the agenda.
So good with that. Now, I went for a ride along today with Monroe County Road Commission and did, we're cleaning out a couple of ditches on Crow Road. Someone ran over the catch basin and crushed it, so we're gonna have to go try to fix that. I went out on County Line Road for a driveway culvert to be blasted out and across town. And we went down Half Road, kind of investigating what we're gonna do with Half Road. As far as drainage. They have already got all the berm dirt off Redmond Road, Southwick Road, Hickory, and Half. And I drove them today and they are an absolute disaster. So these people are begging for gravel now, which I think Monroe County said it should be here next week. That's why I left their equipment out here. I think that's all I got. Anything else I'm missing? Maybe, no? All right. Clerk's absent. Mr. Joel.
I got nothing really. Taxes are all dispersed, so we just wait for summer to come along.
Oh, joy.
I know.
Is that it?
Other than their CO2 drilling, you know, yes, I mean, I drink my water from my house and I live right over there and my daughter lives 3/4 of a mile away and she's got the nastiest sulfur you ever had. It'd be terrible if I got sulfur or anybody that didn't have it. But I realized, I mean, you guys are going 4,000 feet deep and everybody else's wells is under 200. So I think that's where you might want to let people know, you know, I mean, you're going almost a mile deep, which is a long, long ways. So.
That's why everybody's, they're worried about it. Sulfur, I don't know if you know much about sulfur, but if you have it in your house, you get a new TV, you get a refrigerator, any electric appliance is gone within a year. Anything else, Joe?
That's it.
Trustee Strong.
As for the planning commission, what I would like the board to give the planning commission a written directive on what to do. Meaning, what do you want us to look at next? Because it's getting, let's look at this, let's look at this, let's look at this, and, you know, we're not the people to say, let's look at it. The board is gonna say, we would like you to look at A, B, C. The things that are close, which probably are the things you're gonna want, the cell tower ordinance, because of cell towers are the quick items right now, and the wind ordinance. So I'm just guessing that that's what we, and we discussed, maybe we should be looking at this. But then again, I don't think we should be looking at anything until the board tells us, because we have a budget and we have Mr. David Kaminsky there, and he costs money. So, you know, we gotta say, what do you want us to look at? You look at, first look at this cell tower ordinance, get that honed in, next go to the wind tower or the wind ordinance. Or, yeah, but we should have so we're not just, you know, running out there looking at everything.
When you run around with your head cut off,
Yeah, and then 425 agreement, we were looking for that. Did anybody know where that's at? Ever 425? Man. Nobody knew where that was. We don't know.
Agreement with the city.
Yeah,
I think I bumped across that, but I'll go double check.
okay, if you got it, we'd like it.
Kabisky wanted it.
Kabisky wanted it.
Okay. Cause it should show everything there in that really weird looking gold color is, the 425 agreement on the map. If everybody doesn't know what the 425 agreement is, cities are allowed to expand, we're not, so they come in and encroach our land, but gives you like a 99-year lease. We do get some of the tax money off that, but after 99 years, it becomes the city of Milan. I think it'll be a while before that ever expands again. It should be expanding north.
The master plan, Mr. Kaminsky says 99% there. He's just updating the maps and, you know, that data in the back of the book, back of the master plan, and then that will be updated. And I think that's all I have.
Well, thank you, sir. Trustee Tulk. Olga syndrome.
We're rolling.
Staff. Trash day.
You already talked about trash day. I don't even talk about that.
And you gotta take over that. That's a big
426. And she always brought the donuts.
And lunch.
And lunch.
Okay, I know that's false.
And beer.
Maybe donuts.
I was gonna say, I'll bring donuts.
Staff got over anything?
Nothing.
Nothing? Nothing? You're all good?
Did we, did you ever think about what Fairway was talking about?
I gotta get with them.
I-
Chat with them.
I got the agreement from maybe Village of Maybe.
Oh, good.
Oh, so we can look over what they have.
Hmm.
That'd be good.
Just
Stuff.
put it on maybe the next meeting.
Do that.
We've had a lot of
To
stuff,
discuss it.
we've had a lot of stuff on our agenda, so we've kind of pushed it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is. Public comment from, public comment. 5 minutes. Mr.
I'll
Benitez.
take 2 minutes. If nobody knows me, I'm Dale Benicki. I was running for House of Representatives for this district that included Milan Township. Twice now I ran and I lost the first time by 4%, the second time by 1%. And we're talking about solar today a lot. That all these issues that we have with solar right now was because of the person that ended up to be the representative from this area. She promised that she would not vote to take our local zoning away. Promise, and turned right around, they voted against us. So at this point, I'm not gonna run again for the House of Representatives, but as many of you know, we have not had a representative from this district, District 2, which includes Milan, London, Raisonville, and Exeter Township. We have not had a county commissioner representing us because he's incarcerated at the moment. So it's been since the first of the year since we had any representation. So we're having an election, it'll be a primary in August and a general election in November, and I have filed to run for that seat. I wanted to run for House of Representatives to represent everybody in this area, the farmers, the local people and everything. And since that didn't work out so well, it's a hard job because you're working, the district is so huge at that point that you're including like the city of Belleville, and there's nothing in common with Belleville with the people down here in Milan or Macon Township. So I'm hoping to represent these 4 townships, keep agriculture, and our water clean and all the same things, the issues I had, but in a smaller scale. So I'm hoping that everyone will think about voting for me come it'll be the August primary. And also at this
Is
point,
that county commissioner?
yeah,
Okay.
county commissioner, that'll be probably the only thing on the ballot. Because this is off season, I mean, they're calling a special election.
I think,
Yeah,
I
thanks
think
a lot.
there's the Monroe County Community College.
That'll be on there. That's
Millage,
recent.
yeah.
Yeah, that'll be on there more than likely. But at this point, we don't have any representation at the county level. And this thing with Edison right now with it, and I tend to be real leery of this because we're drilling the well so that we can find a place to sequester carbon. But in the same token, we hear they're gonna close down the coal burner in Monroe. So where is this gonna, if there were wells to be drilled here, where's it coming from? Everywhere else in the country? It's not gonna be our own stuff, because we're not gonna have a power plant. So I am kind of concerned about that. These kind of issues have to be looked at. And this is, you need the support of your county commission. Right now, you don't have it. So that's why I'm running for office. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. Next. Yes,
I just a thought to educate our, on
state your
our
name,
web-
I'm sorry, private.
Sally Straw, the real quiet one, thank you.
Right.
On our page, could we, just a thought, I got from Monroe County, their recycling, and on there, they're doing tire recycling like 4 times a year. And I know that, not that I have any to recycle, but people had, when we do our trash day, it's one thing we don't take, and I wonder if just, they're doing it 4 times, if that, maybe screenshot that and just put it on our front page.
I'm working on that. next
I know
week.
Monroe County takes tires,
Yes.
once or twice a year.
I think they're doing it 4
4
times. I
Monroe Township.
just got the flyer last week, I think, and I put it on the fridge, and it just made me think
Yeah, if you want
about,
it, we can snap it to you.
I wonder if.
Usually we get
It'd
that
be
in the
nice to
mail and
put
I
that
put
out
it on the
Yeah,
website.
get me, I'll put it on there in a heartbeat.
Just so people know if they get on.
I can put it on
there. Probably helpful.
I've been trying to work on a grant, but I got tied up with other projects to have it during our trash day. Anything else?
No.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Sean Struben with the Monroe County Business Alliance. Good to see you again. So if you haven't heard of the Business Alliance, we're the County Chamber of Commerce and the County EDO or Economic Development Organization. And I just want to be brief and say that we work with DT a lot, not just on this front, but 4 or 5 different fronts, from community outreach, the chamber side, economic development, small business incubator, accelerator. And they've always been great partners. I've worked with Molly since I've been here, pushing over 1.5 years now. I met Harry a couple months ago, and they, you don't know me, you don't know them, but I have worked with Dale, if that gives me any.
Yeah.
Does that give me any? Hopefully that helps. They've always been very forthright with me, and they're not trying to pull the wool over you. And I think everything that you said today is valid. I think they genuinely will take that back and try to bring you the best solution possible.
Thank you. Yeah, our goal is to protect our residents. I mean, that's why we're sitting in this seat. That's what it's all about, so. Anybody else? No. I would make a motion to call the meeting at 8:25.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, it's good seeing you again. I'll see you next month.
Oh, no, I won't see that.
Mark me down, one more good day.
Okay.